Hey guys, Bluff Monkey back again. I just wanted to take this opportunity to let you know about Synthwave Takeover Month at SonicAccademy. So all throughout June, we're going to be looking at all things Synthwave, including a huge How to Make Synthwave course by yours truly. There are going to be competitions this month, including a remix competition of the track I made. And I've heard on good authority, Little Birdie told me that one of the prizes will be a full release on the newly formed SonicAccademy label. There's going to be lots more information about Synthwave. There are going to be interviews with big Synthwave artists, and I will be on hand and other tutors will be on hand to answer your questions at SonicAccademy.com. So head over there now and good luck with the remix.
Where will you go today?
Hey guys, Bluff Monkey back again for SonicAccademy, and today we are going to make a Synthwave track. Now, we've looked at Synthwave before. First thing I would suggest that you do is refer back to my tech tips number 57, I believe it is, where I go through all the elements of Synthwave. We talk about drums, we talk about bass lines, we talk about art patterns, synth, how you make the synths and what kind of effects you use. That's a comprehensive guide to some of the ingredients that we use in Synthwave. And it's a very good idea to watch that course first before you go into this one, or even afterwards, it's up to you. I will be including a full Ableton Live project in this course, and I have used exclusively Ableton Live plugins, apart from Anatu Kick2, for obvious reasons, and I've used one free plugin as well, which is Chorus. So you can download the project and see exactly what I see. As long as you've got Anatu and Kick2, you can see exactly what I see. We haven't had to render out stems for you to do that. And even if you don't have Ableton Live, you can download a 90-day free trial and still have a look at what I see. The next thing to look at is we have, I don't know if you can see this, we've got a playlist on Spotify. It's a playlist of 10 tracks that I've drawn inspiration from before I created this track. The playlist is quite eclectic. I've actually listed and chosen a few of my favorite kinds of synthwave tracks, not all of them similar to this, but I've tried to draw inspiration from lots of different styles. But ultimately we've settled on the melodic pop catchy vocal synthwave in the style of the Midnight. Also, there is a Midnight course already on SonicAccademy, so I'd have a look at that one as well if you haven't already watched it. But just a brief rundown of some of the ingredients that we're going to be using today. So the first things first is going to be very catchy drums, very recognizable drums, should I say. The kicks themselves tend to be fairly soft, but those 80s toms and those big 80s gated reverb snares, they are almost universally recognizable across most synthwave subgenres. We'll be having a look at those today. The next thing would be very warm rhythmic bass lines. The bass lines tend to be relatively simple, as in you're not layering up lots of basses in synthwave. I'm using the famous bass line, which we will have a look at, because I just keep falling back on that one sound and it just seems to work, so that's fine with me. And then we come on to the synths. Now, there's a very heavy reliance on big, lush 80s analog, or late 70s as well, analog style synths. Now, what do we mean by analog? What I really mean is uncomplicated. They're raw sounds, they're not overly processed, and it's allowing that analog lushness, those phasing oscillators, to speak for themselves, pads, leads and plucks. Now, that's not to say it's exclusively analog, because there was a lot of DX and SY Yamaha FM style synths used in the 80s as well. And we also had some digital synths from Ensoniq, and then later in the 80s, the Roland D50s and the Korg M1s. We'll be looking at those slightly as well. But for the most part, the meat and potatoes of any synthwave track is going to be those big poly analog synths, that kind of sound. In terms of melody, if you listen to most modern genres of electronic music, let's say for example melodic techno, it's not really that melodic. And one of the defining features of a lot of synthwave is this catchy earworm, either vocals or not, but it tends to be following this synth pop from the 80s idea that you're creating a melody that when somebody walks away from the track, they find themselves singing it or humming it the next day. And I can tell you something, in the 3 or 4 days it took me to put this track together, it's all I could hear was these vocals in my head playing over and over again. So it's that earworm kind of thing. And that defines a lot of synthwave, whether it has the vocals or not. There tends to be these very catchy melodic lines. So that's something we need to inject into this as well. And then of course, finally, we've got the overuse of reverb, the massive, luscious, heavy-handed use of reverb, which also defines not only the original sound in the 80s, but again, most modern synthwave. So without further ado, I'd like to play you the track now, and then we'll get on with the learning.